hello, Roanoke. Welcome to T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show, where we go after the best people, places, and things to do in our fair city. Big thanks to our studio band and my special guest host, Mr. G. Woo! Now, on with the show. He's Pete Eshelman, director of the Roanoke Outside Foundation. Pete, thanks for having Mr. G and I down here this morning. We want to learn about all things outside Roanoke. But before we do that, you've got a big event coming up. It's the Go Outside Roanoke Festival in October.
Right.
Tell us about it, and tell us what people should expect who've never been there before, because I know it's a big event.
It's grown into a pretty huge event. I think we started off this will be our 8th year. We started off with about 4,500 people the first year. Last year we had about 36,000 people pass through the gates, so we're probably anticipating 40,000 people this year.
So that's a little bump from 4,000.
It's a little bump, but it's been a fun endeavor, in order to get us there. The unique thing about this festival is that it's all the partnerships that are involved to make this happen. And it is, we set out to do this. We wanted it to be a celebration of what we view as one of the region's greatest strengths, and it's the outdoors, the mountains, the lakes, the rivers, really that beauty of where we live. And we wanted to celebrate that and really showcase it to other people, get people involved and connected with it. And that's one of the reasons why it's free, is we don't want cost to be a barrier to entry. We want as many people as possible to be able to come to the festival, experience it, and then hopefully get engaged with some type of activity that they discover there. And so we want to take away people's excuses in order to come.
So it's October 12th, 13th, and 14th.
Correct.
In River's Edge.
Yes.
So if it's free admission, so I could walk in,
Yep.
and what kind of activities might be there? I remember years ago, tell me if this is the impression I got. I remember years ago when I went, there was a body of water, and these dogs would jump off a diving board. That to me was very very impressive. But is that still going on?
That still takes place, and kind of what we've done is we've tried to make it. We kind of have it broken into a couple different categories. We have a watch it category, a try it category, and a race it category. And the idea of the watch it category is really for the person that wanders in off the street that doesn't really know what's going on at the festival, that they have something that they can participate in. So you have all kinds of pro athlete shows taking place. So you have, like what you said, you have the dog competition. So you can watch dogs, jumping into a tank of water. I think a world record was set 2 years ago. A dog jumped 27 feet. Which is crazy.
What kind of dog was that?
It was a poodle. It was a poodle. We have lumberjack shows, we have bike trials, we have BMX stunt shows, we have slackliners, all the stuff that you just kind of visually stimulate as you walk around. But the biggest part of the festival, which is kind of why we started, was the try it category.
Try it.
You can walk into this festival and you can test out a mountain bike for free. You can learn to fly fish. You can try a stand-up paddleboard. You can try a kayak out. You can try out running shoes. There's about 175 different things that you can do within the festival that are all free. You can do a wilderness first aid class. You can learn how to what's called swiftwater rescue. If you're into kayaking and you want to learn how to be a little bit safer on the water, there's classes for that. You learn how to fix a flat tire on your bike. All that is taking place, throughout the entire weekend. But then there's a lot of fun, I call them goofy things too, that you can do. We have what's called a Pixie Cross bike course, which is adults riding the tiniest, smallest kid bikes possible through kind of a closed course. Or we have a pump track. You can learn how to tie flies for fly fishing. There's an aerial adventure course that you can go through. And then all of this is centered around, there's music, there's food, there's beer, and it's really kid-friendly, pet-friendly. Just wandering around, you can discover all kinds of stuff. So there'll be equipment manufacturers there, so you can check out gear. We actually work with the Boy Scouts, and they actually have what we call our used outdoor gear sale tent. So anybody that's listening can bring in a piece of outdoor gear that's been sitting in their basement or in their attic that they're not using anymore, and you can drop it off in that area, and the Boy Scouts will sell it for you. And so it's kind of an idea is that, go ahead.
What would be an example of that used gear?
I had a pair of skis I don't use anymore.
Right.
I could take a pair of skis and I could put them in there, or an old bike, or a tent, or a bicycle rack for your car, a bow and arrow. Any type of outdoor gear that you might have laying around that you don't use, you can pick it up. And then so people walking around might step in there, not looking to buy something, but like, oh, that's a great deal, I'm going to buy that. And so it's kind of a win-win situation.
So do you donate it, Pete, or is it purchased from you? Like if you
if you were to bring a bike in, you would go into this tent and they'd have you fill out a tag, and it basically says, your name and that you want $300 for this bike,
gotcha.
And then your phone number on it, and then you can go about the festival.
Yeah, okay.
If I walk in there and I see that bike and I'm interested, I call you. And you come over and we seal the deal.
Yeah,
anything that's left over, the Boy Scouts are happy to accept as a donation. But if your bike didn't sell at the end of the festival, you come and get it, you take it home. They kind of keep an eye on everything and keep it organized.
Makes sense. So when you see the vendors there at the exhibits, are there opportunities for them at the festival to make revenue?
Yep.
Or is it just
it's
lead on
everything.
to revenue?
So so what we do in order to have 175 plus activities. Our vendors, we give them activity discounts. So if a vendor wants to come in, what we're trying to avoid is the person that comes in, they set up a tent, and they just hand out a brochure. That's not that fun. So what we want, we encourage them to come up with fun activities so that whenever I come to their booth, I'm learning something or I'm doing something, and in the process learning about their organization or their company or their brand. And so we give a discount for those people that do that. But then there's some people that are just selling stuff. They make water bottles and they're there to sell water bottles or T-shirts or whatever it may be. So it's a mixture of things, but we don't have any limitations on what people can do as vendors or as exhibitors.
What's the furthest away a vendor has come to?
We have people come from Oregon and California this year.
That's amazing.
Yep,
That's
coming
amazing.
in. So yeah, it's one of the things people always ask, like, where do people come from? Things like that. It's hard for us to gauge because it's a free event. Some of our other events we do, we have, you have to register for it, so we have all that data for you. This one you don't, because people are just walking through the gates and through the doors. So it's a hard one to. But we have people coming from. Definitely all the surrounding states, and every year it gets more and more people are coming in. Like, the last year was interesting. We had all kinds of ladies' weekend getaways happening as part of the festival. Like groups of women were getting together, and they were coming here because you can camp on site at the festival for free.
I was going to ask you about that.
So there's camping, so there's all this is taking place, and so they make a weekend out of it.
Is the camping free?
Everything's free. Everything's free except for food, beer,
gotcha.
if you decide to buy a T-shirt or something like that. But if you want to do any of the activities, you can do that. The only other exception is some of the competitive races that we have. So the festival itself doesn't put on all the competitive races. We partner with other organizations. So, for example, there's a superhero 5K race Saturday morning. That's a fundraiser for a local nonprofit. And so part of our festival, what it is it's a platform for other organizations or businesses to leverage to help themselves as well. So this local nonprofit, instead of having their 5K in April, they do it as part of the festival. Now they have we take care of the bathrooms, we take care of the music, we take care of the beer and all this stuff. So the people that come to their festival have a fun built-in festival, come to their race, have a fun built-in festival atmosphere.
Let me circle back to that superhero 5K.
Yeah.
Do they dress up?
Yeah, they do.
As superheroes?
Yeah, so it's for the...
You might see Batman there?
You do. So it's for the Family Promise of Greater Roanoke Valley is the organization. And so, yeah, you'll see adults. Traditionally, anybody can do it, but you'll traditionally see the parents with their kids both dressed up. Sometimes the dogs are dressed up as well. And they have a couple hundred people that do it. It's a run on the Greenway. And that's their fundraiser for them as well. And then we have other events that take place off-site. So we partner with Salem, who has a half marathon and an 8K. There's a bike race at Carvin's Cove, a mountain bike race at Carvin's Cove on Saturday. There's a road bike event in Botetourt County on Sunday. So there's all kinds of different events. Again, the idea is people can go out during the day, they do these different things, but they come back, they camp, and then we have the music. We have music Friday night and Saturday night as well.
And you mentioned the music. Tell us who's going to be performing there, Pete.
Oh, let's see. So what we do, my dad always told me to work smarter, not harder. And so I think everybody's dad probably told you that, but we partner with the Across the Way Productions, which are the people that do Floyd Fest. And so we have a great relationship with Chris and them. So we have a great relationship. We help them with some outdoor adventure components at their festival, and in turn, they help us with our music component. And so they do all the bookings and everything like that, and so you'll see some crossover of the different bands. And so our main headliner is a band called Monophonics, which is out of the San Francisco Bay Area. They're kind of a soul funk band that'll be playing. And then we have if you're familiar with Floyd Fest, they have a competition within it called On the Rise.
Yep.
And so we have the winners of that, which is Magnolia Boulevard. We have the runners-up, which are Travers Brothership. We have the Floorboards, Soul Searchers, Goat. I feel like I'm missing some. I probably am. But we have probably 7 or 8 bands over the course of Friday night and Saturday night.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's a good. So, and what are your hours? Like you start Friday.
We start Friday at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Friday.
Yep, and then we typically wind down each night at 11. So Friday 6 to 11 p.m. Saturday we start up around 10 a.m. We finish around 11 p.m. And then Sunday 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. But again, there's people camping. There's stuff going on all the time. For example, there's sunrise yoga each morning, so people that are camping can get up and go do yoga and stuff like that. So stuff happens before, like the superhero 5K race, that happens at 8 a.m. on Saturday. But the vendors and everybody, they start getting up and getting going around 10 or 11 each morning.
So how long does this take you to plan? Once it's over, are you back on it for the next year?
Well, so this is a partnership with Roanoke City Parks and Rec, and it couldn't happen without their partnership, and vice versa. We work really well together. And then as it's grown, we brought in other partners as well. So now Roanoke County Parks and Rec's involved, Franklin County. So different organizations getting involved, but then also the different community organizations they're the ones doing those activities. But we're constantly working on it. But really about 6 months out, we really start kind of dialing in, and then we meet once a week and make sure we're dialed in. But every year it gets easier and easier and easier. But right now I call this the calm before the storm, because there's not much we can do until we're actually on site.
Right.
But we'll go on site on Monday before the festival, and every day we'll be doing stuff leading up to when it starts on Friday night.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
One last thought on the festival. When I go this year, Pete,
Yeah.
what are the chances of me getting a selfie with that poodle that jumped 27 feet?
It's guaranteed if you get in the water.
Oh. It's conditional.
And it was a pink poodle, by the way.
Yeah, well, that
Yeah.
must have been on steroids. Well, that's very impressive.
Yeah.
But, when we go to your website, one of the logos that jumped out to me was work hard, play hard, live easy.
Yep.
And it seemed to me that, what you guys promote is the quality of life.
Sure.
And I imagine that's a way to attract business and tourists and people to move here. It's kind of like catnip to a lot of professionals, I would say.
It is. It started off. So I started in 2009, and had a 2-sentence job description and a pat in the back, good luck. And it was really just what happened was so the Roanoke Regional Partnership is the regional economic development organization, and that's who I worked with, and they're funded by local governments as well as about 120 private businesses. And it was the business community that said, hey, you guys need to take a step back and reevaluate your approach to economic development, making sure we're on the forefront, make sure we're being progressive and not doing business the same way we had been for the previous 30 years. And through that self-evaluation, a couple things were realized, but the ones that relate to what we're doing, is that what is one of our greatest strengths? And it's the beauty of where we live. But we were treating it like wallpaper. Just nice to look at. But there was no activation, nobody championing it, no nurturing or development. And so that's kind of where I was brought into how do we leverage our outdoor assets, our natural assets, to attract talent and to attract business investment to the area. And that's what basically led to the formation of Roanoke Outside and the Roanoke Outside Foundation. Was that.
Now, do you guys work? We've talked to Catherine Fox at Visit Virginia Blue Ridge, but do you guys ever have cooperate with them on events like?
Yes, we absolutely do. So there's, I think it's important to recognize that what we're talking about isn't tourism. What Catherine and Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge, that's tourism focused, and they do a fabulous job at that. We're a little bit more community development focused.
Okay.
Like really focused on how do we make this region the place where people want to be, where they want to live, and then the byproduct becomes tourism. So we didn't do the Go Outside Festival to attract tourism. That wasn't the purpose of it. It was more or less to get our residents connected with that outdoor lifestyle.
Get them engaged.
And turn them into our cheerleaders, turn them into our advocates and our ambassadors, so they go out and spread that message far for us. In the process, you do start getting, people coming here because of that quality of life. But our focus is really on our residents first, use that to attract businesses that want to be attached to that. So like Deschutes Brewery is one of my projects, Ballast Point, Hum Kombucha. those are all companies that wanted to be in an area that had a dedicated effort and focus on quality of life with an outdoor emphasis. So yeah, Deschutes is a great example because then they sponsor. We did a Go Cross, which is a cyclocross race, and Catherine Fox and Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge was one of our big sponsors of that event. That was Labor Day weekend, and we had 26 states represented in 3 countries that brought professional cyclists to the area.
Now tell me, elaborate a little bit more on that. Was that in Fallon Park? And what exactly is a Go Cross?
I was in Fallon Park, and the sport is called cyclocross, which the easiest way to describe that is kind of like steeplechase, but on bikes. So these are bikes that kind of look like road bikes, except they have fatter tires. And then the course is a looped course. It's like a 1.5 mile course, but it has lots of turns and everything in it. But so the riders start, they're grouped by skill set, and they start at once at the same time. And then it's like they hop off their bike, they run up a set of steps, they get back on their bike, they ride some turns, they ride through a big sand pit, they hop off their bike, they hop over barriers, back on their bike. And so it's very spectator friendly, it's very spectator driven. And because the bikes are looping all around the center of the spectator area, so you constantly see bikes zipping by and doing different things, and so it's a lot of fun. So it was a 2-day race, and that one we're actually positioning to. We put a bid in to host the National Cyclocross Championships in 2020. We don't know if we won it yet, but we'll find that out in a couple months. But that's that was the goal of this race, was to put on an event, a cycling related event similar to our marathon. It will bring people into the area.
Do they come in with the skill sets already determined which group they're in?
Yeah, so you have to do what's they call them category Cat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so the more races you do throughout the year, throughout your lifetime, you move up in ranks. So if an amateur starts, they're going to be a category 5 rider. A professional is going to be an elite rider or a category 1 rider. And so over time you move up, and so when a race starts, it's like category 4 or 5 riders are all together. So you know that you're not going to be smoked, or people are going to be lapping you or something like that. So you're kind of in the same skill set. Whereas when you get up to the elite riders, they know that everybody in that pack knows what they're doing, and so that I can be 2 inches off your tire and know that you're not going to cause me to wreck. Kind of thing.
Is there prize money?
There is. So yeah, we had a $10,000 purse.
Wow.
Not for one individual; it was spread throughout. But yeah, we had $10,000, which in the world of cyclocross racing is one of the larger purses. So
very impressive what you've done.
Yeah, it's fun.
Considering
it's I always say it's we get a lot of credit for it. There's so many people out there doing incredibly hard work, and what I use the analogy of when I started. I use the analogy of a pie. And we had everybody that was focused on their little slice of the pie. So people developing greenways, focused on the greenways, or the mountain bike community, or the fly fishing community, or the hiking community. Everybody was doing great things on their own little slice of the pie, but kind of in silos. And what we've been able to do is kind of be a voice for all of them, and make them realize that rising tides lift all ships. And so what's good for the greenways is also good for the fly fishing community, and vice versa. And so if we all work together towards these common goals of that in the end it works out well. And so we've developed great partnerships and great synergy between people that kind of get it. They start to understand that. I would say that the lakes and the rivers and the trails, they're more than water and dirt. They're economic generators if we put some effort behind them, and so I think we're starting to see that, and we start seeing it with image building. I go to a trade show out west every year. It's the largest gathering of the outdoor industry, and when I first started going, nobody knew where Roanoke was. I mean, they didn't, and people told me going into it that would be the case, but I didn't really believe it. But people either thought it was a suburb of D.C. or the Lost Island.
Lost Colony.
Yep,
Exactly.
They did. And now it's not the case. Now we're really known as this kind of emerging mountain town that's kind of discovering itself. We're not known as an old railroad town anymore. We have this image of this emerging, mountain. Like there's an article that just came out in Men's Journal today talking about hidden mountain bikes, destinations.
Hidden
mountain bike destinations.
I mean, it's almost every week or so you now see something highlighting Roanoke.
Right.
Now, is Roanoke like a level 1 bike destination, or
it's
what's
called,
that term mean?
So there's an organization called it's called the International Mountain Bicycling Association, or IMBA for short, and they have a designation called Ride Center designation. And you can do silver, level, or gold designations. And the Roanoke region just became the very only East Coast silver level designation.
Wow.
And what that means is, and it's a great tourism product, because what that means is a person can come here for 4 to 7 days on a kind of a mountain bike vacation. And not only will they have incredible riding, so they have a lot of diverse, riding options, but they also have music venues and breweries and coffee shops and natural food stores to kind of support that. So when they're not riding, they still have a guaranteed great experience. And so that's kind of what that means, which is pretty cool.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
One of our first interviews was Downshift Bikes with Steve.
Yeah, Steve, yeah.
Have you ever run across him?
So Steve is a great example. He actually saw one of our tweets that we put out when he was living in Alaska, kind of figuring out what he was going to do next and where he was going to move to. And that's kind of what got him on our radar and ultimately what led him to land here, which is pretty cool. So again, just part of our challenge is just getting the word out about what we have here as a region. And I think we're starting to really make a lot of progress on that. What we as an organization do is we do the Blue Ridge Marathon, we do the Go Cross Cyclocross, we do a Banff Film Festival and Outdoor Expo, which is coming up next week, September 26th, so we might have just missed it.
Well, what's that again, though? So
we do Banff Film Festival. You're in Banff, Canada. It's on the western part of Canada, beautiful, it's in the Rocky Mountains. And they have, it's pretty huge. It's more than just films. It's a book. It's kind of a world film festival, book festival every November. They take all of the winners of their film festival and they package them into a traveling tour that travels around the U.S. And so we host it at Jefferson Center. So there'll be a compilation of 10 to 12 films that you can watch. Some of them will be 2 minutes. Some will be 15 minutes. But they're kind of action-adventure sports, world discovery, cultural discovery films that have won these. It's kind of like the Sundance Film Festival, but for outdoor-based films, is another way of putting it. And then we have an expo as part of that. So you can actually come to the Jefferson Center and then meet the people at Downshift and Clean Valley Council and the Appalachian Trail and the Greenway. You can meet all these people that are making our community really great. And then everybody funnels into the theater and you sit and enjoy these films as well.
Well, speaking of that, on your website there was maybe a 5-minute video of it starts with a house and
and a
grass
bike,
and the crickets
sure.
and the bike comes out,
Yeah.
and then there's no words at all, G.
Right.
Nobody speaks, but you follow this bike as it goes throughout, I would imagine, the Roanoke region.
Yep.
And then you've got subtitles up there telling you all the different things that are nice about Roanoke Valley.
Yeah.
Right? Is that right?
That's right.
Tell us more about that. That was a very impressive
It's a marketing video that we put together to visually, like you said, visually show off the beauty of where we live and the diverse neighborhoods, the businesses, cost of living. So it's a real kind of short little promotional video that we use, kind of to help tell our story in a short amount of time. But it's very well received. Yeah.
Who did it? Let me double back on that film festival. Is that your brainchild? I mean, who comes up with these ideas?
No, I mean, it's...
To bring that to Roanoke.
Well, yeah, so that was So one of the things that we do is we call it a gap analysis. So we're constantly looking at what's missing from our community. So, for example, we identified that we didn't have a climbing gym. So I approached the local developer who was developing the River House, and I said, hey, would you consider a climbing gym as part of your development? He said, if you can show me there's a demand for it, I'll consider it. So we surveyed the community, used that information to formulate a business plan, which thus implemented the River Rock Climbing Gym, which has been open for 3 or 4 years now.
Is that at the Wasena?
Yes, yep.
Yeah, you've taken your kids there.
Yeah.
A couple times.
And so we identified that we didn't have a signature outdoor event, which led us to start the Blue Ridge Marathon eventually, and then on to these other ones. But one of them is we identified that we have this film festival. If you look at where these film festivals they go to kind of known outdoor towns. They go to Boulder, Colorado. They're in Portland, Oregon. They're in Asheville. They're in Chattanooga. And it wasn't here. So it's but it's a thing that people that are really into the outdoors really love watching. Because again, it's 2 hours. You get to see all these films. You walk out inspired. You're ready to go climb Denali. You're ready to go do a kayak. You're ready to go do something because it's so inspiring. So it was an easy thing for us to bring here. What we did was put the expo part of it. That's something that people don't do. So we tag that on to it as part of it. So that's something new we did.
And all of that simmers in your pot here.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
impressive work.
Yep.
Yes,
And then
it
our other thing, we have a lot going on, but when you're
do.
passionate about it, when you
Yeah,
love it,
you
it's
do.
fun. But we really are big on partnerships. So Jefferson Center is our partner there. We definitely know there's a need to address social equity. So we partner with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and we started an outdoor mentor program. And they're really good at getting the kids and doing the programming, doing all that. What we did is we worked with them to incorporate an outdoor component too. So we get the adult outdoor mentors, they pair them up with the kids, and then we plan once a month these different outdoor outings that they go on. So they'll go tubing on the Roanoke River one month. Next month they'll go on a hike, and they go to the climbing gym. So it's kind of really trying to bridge that gap and bring these different kind of underserved communities or people that aren't normally touching the outdoors. How do we bring them into it, and how do we increase diversity in the outdoors? That's something we're just now starting to get more into because there's a big need for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard about that. Well, we're entering the last leg of our
Okay.
marathon here.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about the future. On the way in here, Pete, I was wondering, with Explore Park developing, are there going to be opportunities for the Roanoke Outside Foundation to partnership with Explore Park, or what else do you have on the
Sure.
horizon?
We work with them already, kind of in a consultant base. Like we help them find tenants, if you will.
Okay.
To kind of come in and do there's going to an aerial adventure course is going to be opening up there. That's a company that we brought to the table. Our next phase is really, and we're starting to enter it, is we have all this great stuff that's going on out there. There's a lot more that we can do. We also got to take care of what we have. The greenways, everybody wants more and more greenways, but maybe the funding isn't following to maintain it. We just had this recent flooding. There's all kinds of damage and repairs that need to be done. And there's a lot more that needs to be done. Like we have all these trails which are maintained by volunteers, and it's hard to keep up with it. So if we're going to market our community as an area for people to come and visit, we've got to make sure they have a good experience. So kind of working on asset maintenance and make sure we don't have asset deterioration is something that we're going to be focused on as well. And then improving access. We built a put-in on the Roanoke River. We're raising money right now for a dock at Carvin's Cove. So we're doing kind of more infrastructure. We're shifting a little bit of our focus to infrastructure, maintaining what we have, and then building new stuff that makes it easier for people to get outdoors.
Do you ever need any volunteers, and how can people get in touch with your organization?
Sure. The best way is through our website, RoanokeOutside.com. There's a volunteer tab on there, so if they wanted to learn about whether they volunteer directly for us, so for example with our Outdoor Explorers Mentor Program, there's also all kinds of nonprofit organizations listed on there that they can volunteer directly with, whether it's Clean Valley Council or the Roanoke Appalachian Trail Club. And then all of our events always need volunteers too. So if they wanted to volunteer for the Go Outside Festival, there's a website for that called Roanoke Go Outside Festival, Roanoke Go Fest. And they can go to that, and there's a volunteer tab on there. I mean, that event takes 400 volunteers to pull off. So we're always in need of volunteers. So yeah. And then the other thing is the biggest thing ongoing is the volunteer on trails. Build and maintain trails. There's 2 different organizations that are out there doing all that trail work, and they always need more help. So.
Okay. Last word, G?
No, I'm just real impressed with what you're doing and how far Roanoke has come. I grew up here, Pete, and back then, it's just leaps and bounds, and
Right.
the identity that you all have created here, it's working. It's
Well, I
really
appreciate
working.
that. And again, it is very much a group effort, but I think it's the point is not that we had a bad image, we just didn't really have one, and now we have something that people can get behind.
Yeah.
Your idea of camping, I always say your idea of camping could be staying at a 3-star hotel or a 2-star hotel, but you can't argue that we live in a beautiful place and that the mountains and the lakes and the valleys, that's one of our greatest strengths.
Yeah.
And it goes to show you when we give it a little attention, what we can do. So just imagine if we gave it a lot of attention.
Well, Pete, thank you again. I plan on seeing you and the poodle at GoFest.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you, my
Pete.
friend.
I appreciate it,
Nice to meet you.
absolutely.